Yeah.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear and see me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Great. Okay.
Everything is amazing. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today in this live. We are very pleased and pleasure to have you here and to talk to you about narcissistic abuse and also at the same time about the movie I Love You, My Narcissist.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
yeah. It's a shame that we didn't get to know you and get in touch earlier while we were developing and producing the film, so we could have you and could have had you in the production. But we'll see what near future brings us.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to
Everything.
help with this. It's important.
Yeah, cool, amazing. Yeah. I start talking, and you can start. But I start talking with one question.
Yeah.
How do you find the film and how do you like it?
Well, you already know this because I've spoken to you about it, but I absolutely loved it. I thought it was extremely unique that first of all, what I love most is that you had, and I get this all the time. Well, women are narcissists too. Absolutely, they are. I think it's often misdiagnosed in females, unfortunately. And so I really loved that you had a side by side of a female narcissist in a relationship, in an intimate relationship, but also with her mother. I love that you had those dynamics. And then also a male narcissist with a female. I thought that was super important, not just for obvious reasons, but also at least from the female side of things to show on that end how the dynamics plays out in the family system and then how that affects relationships because this doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? And it doesn't happen overnight. And you really showed kind of that lineage almost. And then the other thing I loved was that, you know, majority, actually, I don't think I've ever seen a film do this where as the playbook of the personality disorder is playing out in the relationships, you brought in world-renowned experts to talk about every single poignant moment that I think otherwise is often missed. I think people only see the big stuff that happens. They don't
Yeah.
see the red flags and the nuances, and I think you did an excellent job of pointing that out so people were engaged in those things that could kinda track it over time, which I thought was very helpful for viewers.
Yeah, that was very important to us to show many aspects that we could show because the movie is very limited for the time and we couldn't put everything into that unfortunately. But um, it was important to show how subtle and how slow everything starts. And we see it also at the same time in many other films, the physical abuse, the grandiose actions that are happening. And we didn't want to showcase, we didn't want to show that. We wanted to show how slow and how hidden these manipulations are
Yep.
and how they start because they start from the point, often from the point that you want something and the narcissist just go towards it and
Yes.
take that and uses that against you. So
Yes.
we want to show how it works in multiple dynamics because we have relationship dynamics, we have family dynamics in the movie, and also we have the work dynamics, which develops into a relationship dynamics
Yes.
later.
Yes.
So
And
that was
I think it's important because when there's a big misconception about what love bombing is, right? Oftentimes people think love bombing and it's not that it's not this, but they think it's lavish gifts and lavish vacations, which it is and can be, but not all the time. And I think what you did a really good job of is showing that it doesn't need to be that. Narcissists find exactly what it is you're looking for, whether that's you want someone who's very, attention, gives a lot of, let's say, displays of affection, or you need a green card, you need your visa, right? In this case, or you need, you love your acting career, and they say that they can help you with that, and so it's things that you're seeking that they give you, not necessarily these grandiose things, although it can be. And I think, again, I think the film did a really good job of showing that they do their homework, they do their research on your vulnerabilities and use that and make you feel that you can't accomplish that without them, and therefore you need them. And you did a really good job with both of those characters, I think, in showing that.
Yeah, and we also wanted to show like different layers to basically move away from this misconception that, oh, this wouldn't happen to me, that a lot of people
Correct.
have.
Yes.
Because there's always something that somebody else can give you. Like you said,
Yes.
it could be a dream, or it could be a visa, or it could just be
Yes.
something like being understood, feeling loved, feeling seen. Who
Exactly.
doesn't want to feel loved? Who doesn't want to feel
Exactly.
seen? So obviously, this is not just something that happens to one type of person, but this can happen to everybody.
Yep.
And this is also why we really wanted to focus on the beginning of the relationships as well.
Yes. And I think that's important too, because we hear this all the time. One, why can't they just leave? And two, how did they, like how did they get into this? And you think, oh, I'm so stupid. I can't believe I did this. But it has nothing to do with intelligence. It has nothing to do with how psychologically savvy you are. And I look at the work I do and I look at a film like this as almost preventative medicine, right? It's to help people so that they don't get into this, right? So that they can see. But I think the hard thing is that it's nothing you can really pinpoint. It's not one isolated event. It's really hard to it's like a fish in a fishbowl. You don't know you're in it until somebody pulls you out of it or something catastrophic happens, which we saw.
Yeah, and many times we miss the signs because we yes, often we don't believe that these signs are the red flags, and we hope for that they are true, because that's also where the cognitive dissonance happens, because we see the red flags and we have a bad feeling about them, but we want them to be true. We want that it's real.
Yeah.
It's happening. I'm getting the most amazing relationship I ever wanted. But during the time, the more the time goes on, it gets harder and harder and harder and tougher. So
Yep.
yeah, that's also one of the reasons we wanted to make this film, because we also experienced that ourselves. And for me, for example, at the beginning, after we started doing research and development for the film, I went multiple times to Steph and told her, "Yeah, hey, I never knew that, but it's my life. It happened to me a lot of times, many times, and I never knew that it
Yeah.
was narcissism."
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's also a big problem that the society has right now, because they are not aware of that. And many people, they say, when they watch a documentary or a movie or a film or a hybrid film like ours, they say, "No, it won't happen to me. I'm aware of everything." But it's not the case, because it can happen to anyone,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
no matter how educated they are, how rich
I
they are, how yeah.
it no, it's I was saying it doesn't matter. And I get a lot of pushback on that because people say, "Oh, it's such a small percentage of the population." And I'm like, "No, no, no. That's just the percentage of the population that we're aware of because they don't seek treatment." And so if you look at the population of survivors, that's a whole different ballgame. So, I think in working with patients for so long with this, one of the biggest aha moments I find is when they realize, they'll watch something or they'll hear me say something and they'll say, oh my God, wait, that's my life. And then they realize that it's such a distinct blueprint, right? It's not, I don't want to say normal, but it's not a normal bad relationship, right? It's not just your standard toxic relationship. It's not even, it goes, so I don't even think saying abusive does it justice. I mean, even though it is, but it's such a distinct blueprint. And when you realize, that whoa, wait, that's my life. Or you hear somebody else talking about it, and you realize it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter how smart you are, how much money you have. The blueprint's identical. How it manifests here and there is a little bit different. Male, female, a little bit different. Age, a little bit different in the type of dynamic, but the underpinnings of it, the hallmarks of it, are all power and control. And when you see it and you realize that it happened to you, it's kind of this empowering aha moment, but also kind of the world as you know it is a little bit or a lot shattered, because now you have to regroup and realize that what you thought was real was not. And that can be really difficult for people. And again, I think you do an excellent job in this film of showing that, of how when they realize it's not what they thought it was, it's kind of, okay, but in so deep. Now, what do I do? I've completely lost my sense of self, my self identity. I don't even know who I am anymore. I remember a client saying to me once, and I think it seems like such a benign thing, but I remember she was leaving a relationship. I was helping her navigate that. And she said, Jamie, I don't even know what flavor ice cream I like. And it was so jarring because that's such a basic thing, right? But she couldn't even figure that out. And I think in your film, you show that, people completely lost their whole entire sense of self and self identity. So it makes it very hard to leave because you don't have a you to trust. You don't even know who you are.
Yeah,
I mean,
there
that's
are.
also that's also
Mhm.
one of the reasons why we stayed away from just doing a clear documentary. Like in the very beginning, we thought we're just going to do a documentary, but
Mhm.
then we felt like, but how can we really get people to connect to what the survivors are going through? Because
Mhm.
it's so easy to say, oh yeah, that's so far away from my life, this would not happen to me. But when we combine the documentary with the fictional parts, then it's easier to step into
Yes.
another person's mind and understand the confusion that you described, and like how busy the brain is actually
Yes.
trying to figure out this situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And our brains will do what we need to do to survive. And survival in those types of relationships looks different.
Yeah. You have also elements in the movie for these loss of identity, because at the beginning of the story, both main characters they have a specific element that shows them they are strong, self-confidence,
Right.
and they are here as a very normal human being. And throughout the story, this element will be less and less and less, and at the end, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
during the time of the relationship, they lose that, and that's what happens also to all the survivors in
Yes.
such relationships.
Yes. Yeah.
We had
Absolutely.
we had also, for example, at the premiere, we had a couple of people coming to me and told me, hey, thank you for this movie. It opened my eyes. It triggered me in some ways,
Yeah.
but not in a bad way, in a good way, because I
Yeah.
could then understand what and why it happened to me.
Yeah.
And now I'm aware of that, and I can deal with that. I can now overcome the trauma and the problems that I have now, because I have now the reason behind all that.
That's right.
And that was very heartwarming for me, because I always say, if we reach a few people internationally and we could help those people with this movie, that's more worth for us than reaching 10 million people
Yeah.
internationally. And they say, yeah, okay, that was an entertaining film. That's good. Yeah, that's it.
And
Because the impact that the film could make is more important for us than reaching a wide audience and we have a huge
yeah.
sale
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
film. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that came through. I think that really came through in the film. And to your point about losing yourself, I think another misconception that again you really hit on was that, there's this misconception that people are with narcissists because they're weak. And
Mhm.
that's not the case. They don't people aren't attracted to narcissists because they're weak. In fact, narcissists are attracted towards people who are strong, who are confident, who are empathetic, who are good people. And the reason for that, and I hate saying this because it still makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up, but the reason why that is because it's further to knock them down. There's more to take from them. If they enter in a relationship with somebody who's already, dealing with low self-esteem and lack of confidence, they can't get that much supply from them. And I think where the misconception is we see these survivors at the end or during the relationship when they're so unbelievably broken that we assume that that's how they always were. And they weren't. If anything, they were the opposite. And so I think that, showing how the character's identity develops, but in the opposite direction, right? I think that was really important because both characters started out very strong and very confident, and you see that in a very subtle way, but this insidious decline of that confidence.
Yeah. Um, yeah, you
You
wanted
go
to say
ahead.
something?
You go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I'm really happy that you say that and that it comes across like that. Um, because we heard that too before we started to do the research that narcissists would only go after weak people. Um, so we really try to find two protagonists that in very different ways are strong, are confident, and then get stripped down by this. So I'm really happy that this came across. But yeah, go ahead, Ali.
Then I wanted to tell that yeah, that's true. And at the same time, we wanted to show that narcissists are not just people who want to be the center of the attention. Because during the research,
Correct.
during the research we did, I asked many people in my surrounding at events or many people, and they say, "Hey, who is a narcissist for you?" Yeah, my friend is a narcissist. She is very sympathetic, and everyone loves her, and she wants to be the center of attention. I say, okay,
No.
but what does she do that she
Yeah.
is a narcissist? No,
Yeah.
that's just it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's this misconception that there is in the society that people who are sympathetic, charmant are always a narcissist is also not true, because
Correct.
there are also many people who are sympathetic, charmant. As soon as they go into a room, the whole attention comes
right.
to them, but they are very nice people.
That's right.
And to separate them is also difficult, because you need to get in touch with them, to get to know them, and to understand and see exactly the red flags, if any, is coming towards you. And then based on that behavior, you can see, okay, something is wrong here, or
Yeah.
everything is correct here. So
Yeah.
and we wanted to show that not everyone is also a narcissist, because it's understood wrong in the society, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I am so happy you said that, and it's so true. I ironically was at a dinner the other night, and somebody was talking about a narcissist, and they said, it's someone who loves themselves, and all they do is talk about themselves. And I was like, no, I mean maybe a little bit, but that's not how we define a narcissist, and that's not the function of a narcissist. And so, you know, eh, I think that people assume that it's this kind of um uh, you know, it's almost like an old mentality, Hollywoodized version of it. I don't know what it is that narcissists, they look in the mirror and they kiss themselves. And that's not even, you're not even scratching the surface. And I think a big part of it too is that people, sometimes you can have two people who one's a narcissist, one's not, and their behaviors on the surface look identical, right? Let's say one who is a narcissist, but the other person maybe grew up in an environment where they had to develop coping strategies as a child for whatever reason to be able to navigate their life and get through it. And those behaviors were survival skills, but they don't do it because they want to gain control over someone else. They don't do it because they want to manipulate someone else. So superficially, they may look identical, but I think, well, I know what differentiates them. And again, you show this beautifully, is that if you take the behaviors and you let the person know that you're hurting them. It may be difficult for them to change because they've been doing it forever, but their intention isn't to control, manipulate, gaslight you. Their intention is just to navigate their life. They don't want to hurt you. Whereas with a narcissist, if they happen to hurt you to get their needs met, oh well, right? That's on you. You figure it out. And there's their purpose of manipulating is to navigate, but not to hurt people, and they don't want to do that. They don't like that. And so I caution people too that sometimes just because someone quote looks like a narcissist doesn't even mean that they are. And it's important to look at the function of why they're doing what they're doing, not just kind of the superficial stuff, and the stereotypical definition of, someone who talks about themselves all the time or loves themselves too much, because that behaviorally actually doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, I'm very curious to know which scene was your favorite scene in a good way, and which scene was the scene you said, "Oh my God, I hate that guy or that girl or that woman or whatever." So
That's such a good question, Ali. I love it.
It's a very tiny thing that happened where I was like, they got it. They get it. They get it. You gave her a nickname. I forget what the nickname was. He changed her name.
Lucy,
What was it?
Lucy.
They changed Lucy. Yes, they changed her name. And I was like, yes, yes, because it is so common for narcissists to want to change your identity, but they do it in subtle ways. Like they'll give you a nickname that isn't yours. It's not, you didn't ask for it. It's not a variation. It's not like they're calling me James instead of Jamie, right? They're switching it, and it's this slow trickle of this change of identity. And again, it's not this crazy scene, but it was so subtle, and I caught it, and I was like, "Oh, okay. All right, they get it. Yeah. Yep, that's it right there." And for me, that was kind of the beginning of, okay, this is all right, I get it. I see what's going to happen now. I loved that. It was very subtle, but it was so meaningful and so powerful because that's definitely missed a lot. So I thought that was really good. And I loved the other scene that gave me the chills was when you were doing an interview, and you brought the other character in, and he had no idea he was going to be giving the interview, and he was so uncomfortable, and it was so on purpose, and it was so sneaky, and you felt his his agony, and you felt so bad for him, and you knew what was going to happen. That also I thought was really telling. I thought that was very good as well.
Yeah, the scene with the name, we talked about that a lot, and we wanted to show how a narcissist can steal your identity and change your identity and sell it to you in a way that you
Yes.
believe that
Yes.
it's for your good, for your sake.
Yes.
So that's
Exactly.
that was
For her
the
career.
reason, because
Yeah.
because in many relationships they do it and they make it the reason, and they make it because you need that and it's good for you. Also,
Yes.
you don't need that. It's not for you. It's for their let's say, relation. Or
Yeah.
Yes.
And in this case, it's so easy to spin it around her acting career
Yes.
and acting
Exactly.
capabilities.
That's
So
why I thought it was so
yeah.
smart. I thought it was so smart and so well done. And the other thing too was, I think, and this isn't talked about a lot because it's so super uncomfortable. And when I say it, people are like, no, that's so severe. But if you think about it, the primary goal of a narcissist is to completely deplete you of your identity, right? To completely erase you. And in a way, it's kind of what's the most significant way you can erase somebody? Having them take their life. At the end of the day, when we talk about narcissism, if you really break it down, ultimately that's part of that, right? And that's why the rates for suicidality are disproportionately high within these relationships. It's not I can't take this anymore. It's that total loss of self, and they've taken that. And so the idea of wanting to take your own life, I think, is something that's extremely important, because I don't think people realize, um, how much of an issue that is in these relationships. Yes, also physical violence, especially intimate partner violence, particularly if you're leaving. But suicidality is something I think that's not touched on enough. So I'm happy that was in there as well.
Yeah, I think people also don't understand that you can't just, in a lot of cases, you can't just say, "Oh, I'm leaving this person,"
No,
and then there's a clear cut, and you can just stop contact. And a lot of times, there's still a connection there because, for example, you're financially dependent, or you have children, or
that's
they
right.
just stalk you or keep coming back to you. And then also the factor that in a lot of cases you're isolated and you don't really know who to turn to.
Yep.
Then the systems, like for example, it's really hard to get therapy. Like for example, in Germany,
Yep.
it's complicated to get a therapist, and then yeah, just to get support systems, it's
Yeah.
complicated.
Yes.
So it's not just that you say, "Oh, this is my decision. I don't want to be with that person anymore," and then it's over. In a lot of cases, it's just years and years of
Yeah.
like working yourself out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also
Yeah. And
yeah, sorry.
yeah.
And also the trauma bond that the survivors and the victims have in such relationships, because I hear every day a lot of messages, a lot of posts on social media and stuff like that. That people ask other people, for example, in Facebook groups, they ask, yeah, hey, I went no contact with my narcissistic partner since 1.5 weeks. I miss them now. Should I send them a message and just ask them how they are doing or not? And everyone says, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. And in the next day, they say they write, yeah, I contacted them. We met, we dated, it went amazing. It was a very wonderful date. He or she or they changed a lot or so, but it just for one day. It's just
No.
for one day.
Yeah. I mean, I've always said this, these are the only types of relationships that require an actual exit strategy or escape plan. These are not normal breakups, right? There are so many, forget the psychological aspect, but you can't leave these relationships because you're going to be so prone to smear campaign and abuse and all of post separation abuse and legal stuff and custody battles and financial schemes. So, one of the biggest things in leaving these relationships that you don't think of with other relationships is you need tangible, practical things in place. You need most likely an attorney, or at least have consulted with one. You need a separate phone if your phone's in their name. You need access to your bank accounts. You need money set aside. You need a place to stay. You need to know the laws in your state of custody. I mean, there's so many things that you need in place before you actually leave. That's not a normal breakup, right? Even in a toxic breakup where there's children, the parents will still do what they can as best they can to not harm the children. When you're dealing with a narcissist, they're going to do everything they can to harm the children so that it can get to you. So, that aside, but then there's the heightened risk of physical violence, and their lives are being threatened. If they have pets, they're scared about leaving their pets. They're scared about, I mean, there's so many things in place because it's not just a bad breakup. These people are scared for their lives. And when it's a family member, right, then they have to worry about, oftentimes there's money involved, or there's a smear campaign, or, they'll get phone calls that the family member's now dying when they're not dying. And it's all these things that start to happen. And you really need to make sure you have a solid plan so you're not sucked back into it when these things happen, because they will.
Yeah. And and
Sorry,
the, the
cutting a lawn outside my window.
it's fine. Yeah. It's also especially in the family system, having a narcissistic parent is very tough,
Yeah.
because whenever the children are alone with that narcissistic parent, they will talk so bad about the other parent's
Yes.
past. that children, if they are not aware, if they are very small or young, or they can't decide or can't separate what is going on,
Yeah.
they will affect them on
Oh,
how they
yeah.
see the mother and the father.
Yeah.
And I'm talking from my experience because I experienced it by myself, and it's it's very tough, and
Yeah.
it's very tough also for survivors, for sure. And we wanted with this film, we wanted to how to solve. At the same time, we with this film, we aim to reach as many people as possible to show them how the dynamics work, and if they are at the beginning of such relationships, to understand and then hopefully get out of it before they are totally stuck in that in
Yeah.
such
Exactly.
relationships. And if we reach other people who are not aware of these dynamics, they become aware and they not
Yeah.
fall into the traps later in
Yeah.
their relationships.
Yeah.
And also for the survivors to understand that they are not alone.
I was just gonna say,
And
yeah.
there are many other people, and we can help each other. And what I also hope from this film to achieve is to tell people, yeah, hey, if you are not in such relationship, if you are in a place to help someone, you because the survivors, they don't need always money support, or they don't
Right.
need always therapy support. Often they need a hearing ear to just hear them out, because because survivors, they are also isolated, they have no one to talk. The smear campaign makes the friendship, everything just go away. They need someone to sit there and just hear them out and have
Yep.
some empathy with them. And
And
I
believe
hope
them.
and believe them. Yeah,
Yeah.
because we had also because for the movie we also interviewed around 15 people, and they shared with us their experiences with the narcissistic partner and narcissistic family as well. And we used those experiences and got inspired from them for the film. And they told us that whenever they went to someone, a friend, a family member, or a lawyer, or whoever they could find, and they told them what they are going through,
Yep.
no one believed them,
No.
because the narcissists, they show themselves as heroes, best people in this world, and no one can actually see what they are doing
Right.
to a specific person in the specific relationship.
And also a lot of the things that they do out of context are seem benign. So when you try to explain to somebody, um, the story I like to give that I think is, if you're going to your friend's wedding, right? And you're about to leave and you're in their wedding party and they're taking pictures, and right before you leave, your narcissistic significant other, quote, accidentally spills red wine all over your dress. And you go to the wedding, your dress is ruined, you're upset, and you even begin to try to tell people that your significant other spilled red wine on your dress on purpose when everybody thinks this person's lovely. And so you can't even that wouldn't even make sense out of context. And so you try to explain this to people, and they're like, why would they do that on purpose? That you're overreacting. That makes no sense. And then you're being gaslit, not intentionally by them, but now you start to doubt yourself. Plus, you're being gaslit by the narcissist. And they're like, okay, well, maybe it really was an accident. I mean, that what, and so it's out of context. A lot of these stories don't make sense, which is why I think it's so hard for survivors to be believed on the quote smaller things, even though they're not small, because the culmination of them make it just so dangerous and so toxic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's also what we hope for with this movie.
Yeah, and that's also why I hope that a lot of people that have no that didn't experience narcissists in their life yet see the movie and get more awareness for it, so that
Yeah.
if a friend or family member approaches them about their situation, that they then can look at it without the judgment, because the
Absolutely.
survivor already has the judgment within themselves. It's all internalized already.
Yep. Yep.
So then, like Ali said earlier, that they are able to lend an open ear and listen without judgment.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely agree with that. Yep, absolutely.
And sometimes it's we also have a tendency to always want to find solutions. Sometimes the solution is not really important in that
Right.
moment. Sometimes just holding space is already enough.
I love that. Yep, absolutely. I completely agree with that. Because sometimes there's nothing to say. You don't even
Yeah.
know what to say because if it's true, then I mean, that's a whole. Then the world, the rug just got ripped out from under you. No one knows what to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry, just about this topic. Do you think, because you said earlier, sometimes these moments seem so unbelievable from the outside, that it's hard to, yeah, believe them. That's unbelievable. Do you think that happens in the movie too for somebody that hasn't experienced narcissism? That people watch and are like, "Oh, really? Does that happen?"
Absolutely. A lot. I mean, the arguments that had started, the interview one, for example, was something I thought that was because, you know, uh, you can explain that in such a in a way that just doesn't sound bad, right? I think also a lot of the arguments that were started in isolation don't seem like they're that big of a deal. Like the mood switching really quickly out of nowhere for no reason, and you can't quite pinpoint what happened. The whole point of it is you're not supposed to, so you can't even begin to explain to somebody like all of a sudden I came home and she was angry, but I don't know. I don't, you don't have the language, you don't have the context to explain it. So I think there were a lot of those moments um, where they were just kind of these arguments that started seemingly out of nowhere that would make it very difficult. We're arguing, we're fighting about what? I'm not really sure.
Mm-hmm.
There, you know what I'm saying? I think that there was a lot of those moments where it was just so seemingly random. And the randomness, I think, just in and of itself is something that's very difficult to explain to other people. Well, what do you mean? There had to have been something that happened. No, no, because it's on purpose. It's on purpose to control the other person, to throw them off by this intermittent arguing so they never know what they're going to get. And I think that came through a lot.
Okay. Oh, sorry, Ali, I cut you off.
Yeah,
Do you remember your question?
it's fine. The question was very good and very interesting. Yeah, I wanted to know what did you think about the musical parts that we had?
I
Because
loved it.
we had also some musical parts in there. So
Yeah, I loved it because for a couple of reasons. One, I think it's such a heavy film that I think it in a weird way kind of lightened it a little bit, but it also was very jarring at the same time. It's kind of like, when you're watching a horror movie, but the soundtrack to it is something very upbeat and normally would be very happy. So I found that to be good but jarring. And then but I also liked it because I think it showed the almost like the old identity of the characters. That it still showed them coming through, even though they were shifting and they were changing, unknowingly. There was still a part of them that was still there. And I think that's important because I always tell people, I mean, it's different when you are raised by narcissists because there's no identity to necessarily get back to because it's always been that way. So you have to reshape and create it with elements of it. But when it's a relationship later in life, you'll never be that person again because you've gone through such trauma. And I think that's something that people have to work alongside of. But I liked that part because it showed their true identity and again it showed you just how far away they were getting from it. So that was my take on that. Yeah. But I loved it.
nice. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think we can now finish the live, so because we don't want to take your time.
Yeah, because I could
Because
talk about this forever. I mean, I love this. I love it.
yeah,
Are you ever, like, I have another question. Are you, because you say you love to talk about it, but do you ever get frustrated in the sense that there's so many free resources out there, so many people are being generous to talk about this, and still it seems like there's so little awareness, or people are so much ignorance even, because sometimes I feel like, oh, but it has already been said.
Yeah. So I think what frustrates me isn't so much that it's still I think the ignorance, I'll put it this way, I think the ignorance piece of it is what still bothers me because um I get a lot of I'm gonna go and say hate. I get a lot of hate for saying people with true narcissistic personality disorder can't change. I don't care how good of a therapist you are. I don't care how patient of a therapist you are. The change would be so minimal that to take that and generalize it to all domains of their life, it's not going to happen. They don't want to change. It works for them even when it doesn't. And so I get a lot of criticism for that. But what I tell people is that, as a psychologist, it is my entire career goal, right? My entire existence is to help people change. So for me to say that this is an area where it's not going to happen takes a lot for me to say. And so I think when the ignorance aspect of it really gets under my skin is that, you know, these are dangerous relationships, right? These are relationships that are not just bad relationships. Um, I think the term has been so watered down that, you hear, well, not everyone's a narcissist. Nope, nope, not saying that at all, but you need to know what it does look like if you're ever in it or someone you know is in it. And so, yeah, it's frustrating not helping survivors. That I love. I think I get frustrated with the pushback still of sometimes people get really angry hearing about it. And it's either because they've experienced it and they don't want to talk about it. They've been fed misinformation for so long on social media that they're tired of hearing about it, even though the information they're hearing is incorrect. Um, or it's triggering something for them, and it hits too close to home. Maybe it reminds them of them, and they need to keep that image and that that mask still up. So I think that's where the ignorance comes from. But yes, that part does bother me, but it also motivates me to keep doing it because it's so hard for survivors, as you were saying, to seek treatment for so many reasons that, as many resources as possible, because it's not just about surviving it. The amount of, mental health disorders that arise from this, depression, anxiety, PTSD, CPTSD, sleep issues, eating issues, and then physical health. I mean, if our immune system and our fight or flight responses are always out of whack and dysregulated, we're gonna develop physical health problems, cancer, heart disease. So it's not something that should be taken lightly. It's all connected. And so I think it's really important to keep pushing and talking about despite the ignorance and despite me being annoyed about it.
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Z, for your time. It was really amazing talking to you about this topic and about the movie. And for all the people who are watching now, there is the link at the bottom with the special code from Dr. Z, where you can get 15% off of the purchase price of the movie on AlefCine stream, and you can watch the movie by purchasing. You own the movie. You can watch it how many times you like, whenever you like. It's totally up to you. You can also watch it, pause it, having some drinks, 1 hour break, and then come back
You
and
may
watch
need a
it
break.
again.
Yeah, you may need a break. It's a doozy
Um,
in a
but
good way.
there are also a lot of information provided in the movie from all experts: Dr. Ramani, Dr. Kerry McAbo, Elisa Sani, Daniel Radin, Manjit Ruprai, and Emma Davey. A shame that we couldn't have you, Dr. Z, in
Oh,
the
that's okay.
movie, but
No, that's fine.
We will make it up to you soon, hopefully.
No, this is great. I love that you guys are doing this. I'm happy to help as best I could. And I'll also post the link, keep posting the link on my page and in my stories for
Yeah.
people to click on as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh,
there are
thank you guys.
also enough information provided in the movie, so it won't be triggering. It will be triggering informational, let's say. So
Yeah.
click the link at the button. Just go to AlefCine stream and watch the movie. And if you have any questions or anything, drop us a DM. We are very, very fast with the answers. We reply to every message, no matter what. And we are very happy to and curious to hear everyone's thoughts on the movie. Thank you, Dr. Z, for your time. Thank you, Stefanie, for your
Thank you.
time as well. It was
Thank you.
very, very amazing to see you both again, and also we see each other, Stefanie, every day. So
Yeah, but I met you, Dr. Z, for the first time now. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a pleasure seeing you again. It's a pleasure meeting you. I think you guys are amazing. I think it was a brilliant film. And thank you for the work, because it's going to help a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people in a very different way. I think that's needed. So thank you both very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Yes,
And
thank you.
we'll talk soon.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.